Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitanena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatesatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So today we are discussing a very important chapter, and that's chapter 5, Karma Yoga, action in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. So before that, we'll do a quick recap summary of chapter 4, what we have discussed yesterday. So we could see that in chapter 4 we discussed some of the major aspects. In the first verse we started explaining how Krishna explains that that he first gave this knowledge long ago. He gave this knowledge long ago, even before he told to Arjuna. For Arjuna he gave it for 5,000 years ago, but for sun god he gave it very long back. So the knowledge that never becomes outdated, and then we could see Lord taking different avatar, So we know that according to Bhagavad Gita, Lord takes different incarnations, avatar, to protect the good and to destroy the evil. Then we also spoke about the 3 important actions, right? Karma, akarma, and vikarma. So we spoke about, in case of karma, person does a lot of good activities, right? He does charity, he does annadanam, he constructs schools, hospitals, there's all kind of good activities. But still, by doing that, he's getting a lot of punya. And because of that, next time he'll take birth in where? Swargaloka, But once his punya gets over, again is to come back to the material world. And then he spoke about vikarma. Vikarma is somebody who is against the scriptures, shastras, right? So he doesn't follow that. Like he will tell lies, he will kill people, and he'll do a lot of sinful activities. And because of that, he has to suffer in the hell. We also explained, even while suffering in the hell, once he finished the quota of his punishment, again he'll also come back to the material world. Then we spoke about akarma. The main difference, and karma and vikarma is that akarma, because akarma, it does a lot of actions, activities, spiritual activities, where he's not attached, is very selfless, not selfish, is very selfless. And whatever he does, like for example, he does annadanam. What does he do? First, he offers that food to Krishna, and then he starts distributing to the people, right? So because of this, he's offering to Krishna, keeping God in the center. He's free from the cycle of birth and death. So he doesn't take birth in this material world. Because of his good activities, he will go to the spiritual world. Then we spoke about, qualities of a guru, a teacher, So I told that you should come from the Guru Parampara, disciplic succession, right? And I told you that you should be very self-realized, should have a deep understanding about the scriptures, and whatever he teach, that should be based on the shastras, not whatever comes to mind whimsically. No, whatever he says, it's like whatever he practices, he's preaching. That's what we discussed. And we also discussed the 4 paramparas, right? So any one of the paramparas he can come and that's qualified. And the 4 paramparas are, we have, I'm checking my volume, that's great. So we have Brahma Sampradaya, we have Sri Sampradaya, and that's the Chu Sampradaya, then we have Rudra Sampradaya, and then we have Kumara Sampradaya. Then finally, we spoke about, the very important sloka. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj asked, when Yudhishthira Maharaj was told to take advice from Bhishma Dev, so Bhishma Dev actually, told about the importance of chanting the Lord's holy name. So this is the sloka. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame, Sahasranama Tatulyam, Ramanama Varnane. So what does it mean? That Parvati Maya is asking this question is to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is explaining that if you chant the name of Lord Rama once, it is equal to chanting 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. And further, he also explains that if you chant 3 names of Rama, it's equal to chanting one name of Krishna. Let's chant once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then we also came to a conclusion that how we should do akarma, that we can chant the Lord's holy name, and whatever we eat, first offer to Krishna, because that becomes prasadam. Prasadam means Prabhuka Sakshat Darshan, prasadam, right? And also serve the Lord with the love. So these are the few things we told, and the message that we gave yesterday was that do devotional actions. Do akarma activities, so that you can go back to the spiritual world and you can escape from the cycle of birth and death, that is coming back to the material world. So today we will be heading towards chapter 5, which has almost good number of slokas. All right, and it says, okay, I have divided this chapter, into 4 parts. All right, so the first is on the lotus leaf like water, the 3 doers, equal vision, and the path to peace. So like a lotus leaf, staying how we can stay untouched by the world while we are doing the work. And then the 3 doers, will understand who really doing the action. Then the equal vision, how to see things, in an equilibrium platform, and then path to the peace, that how Krishna is an enjoyer, he's a proprietor, and is a true friend, So all these things we'll discuss one by one. Now, before we embark into this chapter, we have always 2 options, either give up or take up. Now here in the first verse of this chapter, chapter 5, it says, Arjuna said, Krishna, first of all, you ask me to renounce work. And then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the 2 are more beneficial? Then he also further says, the personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the 2, work in devotion service is better than the renunciation of work. So we can see in chapter 5, Arjuna is asking question to Krishna, which is better, just to leave home or doing work with the devotion. And Krishna says that doing your duties with the devotion, karma yoga is better than just giving up everything in the world, renouncing the world. He also explains that devotional service helps us to give up all bad habits and selfish desire. But one thing very important, that while just giving up these things without devotion is very difficult. So you're being very detached, you're doing all wonderful things. But it says, without take up devotional service, these things becomes very difficult. For example, I'll give an example. Imagine you like to eat gulab jamun, okay? And I said gulab jamun you can eat, but since your health is not supporting, let's say you have a sugar, so you want to eat a lot of gulab jamun. So you want to eat, but you have that craving. I want to eat gulab jamun, and it's hard because the mind is telling I want. But I'm telling you that it's not good for your health. But what, instead of saying like that, it's not good for your health. But let's say if I take you to a place, a temple, and you get a chance to, serve Krishna. Somebody asks you, can you please make some garland? Can you cook something for me, for the Lord? Can you do some kirtan? So, and also then you take some prasadam. So while doing all these activities, you completely forget about that gulab jamun, so you feel a greater happiness. So what I meant to say is, that joy can replace the carving. The mind was carving initially, I want gulab jamun. But you got something better service. Naturally, you stop carving to that gulab jamun, right? So you forgot that sweet, because devotion is more, it gives you more sweeter taste. So only by devotional service, we can overcome the lower taste and go for higher taste, not just doing some good karma. Like example, I'll tell you, Janmashtami is coming and we have to all fast, But imagine, generally, if I ask you just fast one day, you will find very difficult. But on Janmashtami, it's a big festival, everybody fasting, you also feel like fasting. Right? Because when you get the higher taste, it's easy to give up the lower taste. That's why Krishna says, don't just give up things. I repeat, just don't give up things. Connect everything to me. Whatever you do, you keep me in the center. And then letting go becomes joyful. That those things that you want to give it up now, that becomes very joyful and not painful. Right now, since we don't keep God in the center. So if you want to give up something, it becomes very painful, becomes very hard. But when you keep God in the center, what happens? Even to give up some things which you were carving before, you will easily give up because it's joyful and it's not painful. Now I'll ask you one question. What does Krishna say is better? In a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, just renounce all work, doing work with the devotion. Yeah, doing work with devotion. That is what I was expecting. This is a very important slide. Just pay a lot of attention. It says, like water on the lotus leaf. What does it mean? Krishna explains that we should perform our duties without being attached to the result. Just like you see here, the lotus leaf is in the water, but it's not touched. You see that it's not touched by it. But person working for Krishna without selfish desire is not affected by sinful activities. Somebody is doing without having any ulterior motive. Is not at all very selfish. Is just doing like a seva. Then he'll not be affected by any sinful reactions. That's why I keep telling all our abilities, all the opportunities, and even the result that comes from God, we should think. You should not, I'm going to say, if you think, okay, I did this, because of me, everything happened, then we'll suffer. We should not take the credit for what we are doing. Rather, we should understand that everything belongs to God and I can just offer my result to Him. That's all. Then we become free from anxiety and suffering. So maybe this slide will give you a clear picture. Okay. So I'll recite the sloka. It says, Brahmanyadaya karmani sangam tvekta karotiya ityate na papena padma patram ivashvabha. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the result unto Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action. As a lotus leaf is untouched by water. What does it mean? I'll give you a very classical, beautiful story, okay? So please pay attention. This story can give you an idea. So there was one person, I'll give you a name, Arjun, not this Arjun, okay? I'll give different name. There was a person by name Rohit, okay? So he was a very big man, rich guy. So once this Rohit, he built a very magnificent, house, it was like a dream home, grand, stylish, perfect in everything. It's like a Taj Mahal, a big building, He spent crores of rupees to make this house, And people from far away, they came, they said, we will give you 2 crores. Can you give this house? He said, no. He was very proud. He said, refusing, no, I cannot give because this is my house. I built this house. It's my house. And he was never in a position to sell the house because it's a big house, huge house, One day he left for a trip. Matlab, he been outside for a couple of days for a trip. When he returned back, his heart got stopped. You know why? Because that house was in a fire. Flame rose high, and everything was, burning like anything, the whole house was burning, and uh, when this was happening, he was very shocked. He was collapsed in sorrow. He was crying, my house, He was like literally tears, my house is burned, He was like crying. You know what happens when you go crazy? He was crying literally. Just then, Rohit had 2 sons. One son came, Papa, don't have to worry, don't cry. Why? Because yesterday only I sold this house to someone else. And the man suddenly asked, oh, really? You sold this house? So yeah, I sold this house. So why are you crying? Really? Then means it's not my house anymore, right? then instantly his pain got disappeared. Till now he was crying. Instantly, when his son said, this house was sold yesterday to one person, so you don't have to worry. Then his pain, got disappeared. Then another son came, said, actually, yes, actually we sold the house, but the buyer didn't pay the money still. Oh my God. Then again, boom, again the pain returned. I mean to say, the house was again, and so suffering was also again. He sold the house, but when the second son said that that guy never paid the money, again he started suffering. So this is what happens to all of us. As long as we think, that this is mine, we suffer. But if we learn to see everything that belongs to the Lord, then we remain peaceful, detached, untouched like a lotus leaf in the water. So what message we can learn from the story, that whatever we do, whether it's our job, our service, or our family duties, we must do them sincerely without attachment to the result. Why? Because the opportunity to act is given by the Lord. The energy to do the work is given from the Lord. The situation or place in which we all work is created by the Lord. So the result also belongs to Him only. But what we do, we start to cling on the idea, I did this, so I should deserve this. But then what happens? We invite ego. What is ego? Ego, eject God out. We invite ego, and then we have suffering. So that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, offer the result of your work to me. See, look at the story in Ramayana. Look at the Jatayu, the bird Jatayu, from Ramayana. He tried to save Mother Sita from Ravana, but failed. He tried his best. But Lord Rama didn't reject him. He honored him with all his hard effort to try to protect Mother Sita, because he was trying very sincerely. So you can see, even though Dashrath Maharaj, who was Rama's own father, he didn't receive Rama in the funeral. But in case of Jatayu, Rama was personally present and did the funeral. This shows that because you offered your efforts to the Lord, without worrying about success or failure. So this is very important. So the message, what we can learn from this sloka, that how you should be detached, is that do your duty sincerely, but offer the result to the Lord. Don't get attached to success or failure, because the detachment frees you from pain and karma. Just like we see example of lotus leaf untouched by water. Now I have a question. Yeah. What frees us from pain and karma like a lotus? Building a perfect house, working hard to get success, renouncing all responsibilities, offering the result of your work to the Lord. Yeah, that's correct. The answer is offering the result of your work to the Lord. Look at this sloka. We just spoke about the first part. Now we're going about the three doers. This is a very important slide, okay? See, here it says, Sarva karmani manasa sanyasate sukam vasi nava dware puradhehi naivi purvam na karayan. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. So what does it mean? It means when a person controls their habits and give up thinking, I am doing everything, then he can live peacefully and happily. But the soul stays very calm when we control our senses. Makes clear? But if we don't control them, we get disturbed and also we become unhappy. So, but if we control our senses, it's very automatically, we become very calm, we become undisturbed, both inside and outside the body. So I have a question. What helps a person live peacefully and happily? Doing whatever the sense we want, or thinking I am the doer, or avoiding all actions, or controlling the senses and ego. Controlling the senses and ego. When we have a control over senses, then it's very easy to make our mind very calm and peace. Then whatever decision you take, that will be the very best decision. So that is very, very important. Now, I would request you, all of you, to please take a snapshot of this screen. Take a snapshot, because this screen is a kind of a U-turn, kind of a game changer in our life. It's all about mind. Okay. So please take a snapshot of this. Take a snapshot, Okay. So I'll just recite the sloka, though it is from third chapter, the sloka, but it's like very important for us to go further. It says, Indriyani parani aho, indriyabhyo param manaha, manasastu para buddhir, yog buddhi paratastu saha. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and the soul even higher than the intelligence. So, if you look at the screen, it says chariot of the body, and you would see horses. You have five senses. That is your eyes, your nose, your tongue, all these five senses. Then you see the rope. It's compared to the mind, and you see somebody is driving the chariot. It's compared to the intelligence, and somebody is sitting like a passenger. That is soul. So have a clear idea on this. Okay, the horses are okay. So the senses are the dead matter. As I explained to you, the senses are dead matter. But above the senses, we have the mind, because the mind is higher than the senses. And look at intelligence. Intelligence is higher than the mind, and above intelligence is Atma. So first comes senses. It's a dead matter. Above sense is mind. Above mind is intelligence. And above intelligence is soul. I'll explain how it works. So the soul should control everything, not other way around. How do we understand? We'll understand with an example. What is more important? Is it the BMW car or our eyes? You can say, you can reply, eyes or our BMW. Okay, eyes. Okay, fantastic. Okay, fine. Let's say I'm going to give you 2 acres of land. Do you think 2 acres of land is more important, or is your own kidneys important? 2 acres of land or 2 kidneys? No, kidneys are important. Okay, fine. So let's say I give you 10 kg of gold. So do you think gold is important or your lungs is important? You have lungs, right? So I'm going to give you 10 kg of gold. What is important? Kidney or, sorry, gold or lungs? Okay. Okay, thank you. Wow, I see that all of us are responding. Okay, good, great. So now that means our senses are more valuable than the material things. You all accept, right? So even if you have good senses, if you don't control them with the mind, we suffer. Just now you all said, that kidney is important, eyes is important, lungs is important. So we have all the senses, they're in good condition. But if we don't try to control them with the mind, then we are suffering. Now you can say, how is it possible? For example, let's say somebody is watching a mobile phone for a very long time, or somebody is watching TV all the day. What happens? Our eyes may become damaged, or you have some problem. All right. And then let's say, even you have a very good mind, but mind also needs intelligence to know what is right, what is wrong. I'll give you an example. Let's say, I'm in the 10th floor, let's say me and you are on the 10th floor, we're just talking, and suddenly I say, hey, let's jump from the 10th floor. Will you jump? You will not jump. Your intelligence says, hey, don't jump. If you jump, you'll break your legs, So mind is saying, just jump. But intelligence is saying, hey, don't jump, For example, there is a main road, let's say I and you are walking, we're standing in the footpath. We have to just cross other side, Vehicles are coming fast. So I'll tell you, hey, you go cross the road immediately, right now, I say. And you see a lot of vehicles are coming, lorries are coming, cars are coming. Will you go? You'll not, you will wait. Why? Because you know that if you go, the car may hit you. Now, who's saying this? Not your mind. Your intelligence is saying. Your intelligence is saying, right? So, mind can justify doing wrong things, but your intelligence is above the mind, and above intelligence is the soul, which is the highest. So we should use our soul and our spiritual knowledge to control everything. So what I'm trying to make you understand is that there are two things: spiritual knowledge, material knowledge. spiritual knowledge will teach us, even we have nothing, we can still be happy if our mind and senses are controlled. But in the material knowledge, what happens, I have, I mean to say, in material knowledge, it's very clearly specifies that if I don't have anything, for example, I don't have a watch right now, I don't have a phone right now, I'm like a fish out of water. That means if I don't have things, I can't be happy. And that is leading to suffering. All right. So here, as I told you to take a snapshot, look at this chariot of the bird, so chariot of the body. So these horses are compared to the senses. Okay. And the rein means the rope is compared to the mind. And the driver, the black guy who's sitting there in the chariot, is compared to the intelligence. He's a driver. And the white person, is the passenger soul. So please understand this, because this can make a big difference for you. Okay. So the horses are compared to the senses. What are the senses? We have, we have our eyes, we have our ears, we have our nose, we have our tongue, mouth, skin. These are all the five senses, right? So, and the rope is compared to our mind, right? And the driver sitting in that vehicle is compared to our intelligence, and the guy who's sitting next to the driver is the soul. So, if the mind is not controlled, if the rope is not in control, then the horses senses, they go wild. Let's say you and me are sitting in a car. Okay, now we want to travel from all the way from Mumbai to Pune. Okay, so you are driving, and you just told me while driving, brake is not working. What? Brake is not working? You'll have the fear, right? Intelligence immediately says, "Hey, you don't have a brake." So what I mean to say that if the mind has no control, the senses go here and there, and because of that, the vehicle may get into an accident. The chariot of the body, may crashes. But if the mind is steady, the soul reaches very safely. That's why our ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he says one of the easy way to control mind is just neglect. That's why Niskama Karma Yoga, Akarma is favorable to come to bhakti, but not Sakama Karma Yoga. Not Sakama Karma Yoga. So this is very important. So there are three ways to control mind. If you want, you can just make a note. There are three ways to control mind. First is we have to be engaged in devotional service. Whatever you do it as an offering to the God. Just you engage in devotional service. Second is you have to follow the teacher's instruction, guru's instruction. Okay, engage your devotional service, follow guru's instruction, and then do good to others. Do good to others. If you do these three things, it's very easy to have control over mind. So what I meant to say, for control mind, intelligence is superior to mind. And if you're on the top of the floor, as I told you, if I said jump, will you jump? The intelligence is, oh, you're going crazy what? Intelligence is, I cannot jump, right? So that's why I say now, the more you sweat in the battle, the less you bleed in the war. I think you have heard this, right? The more you sweat in the battle, you're sweating a lot in the battle, the less you bleed in the war. That means you get less bleed in the war. What does it mean? It means that when you understand and practice in life, it becomes easy to lead a simple and a healthy life. Now, I have a question for all of you. Okay, so in the chariot analogy I gave you, who is the passenger? Senses, mind, intelligence, or Atma? Yes, it is Atma. Fantastic. Okay. What helps us to know right from wrong? Watching TV regularly, yeah? Okay. Intelligence guided by scriptures. You see, the answer was so quick. Watching TV regularly, because you think we get all the information from TV only. There's no information. You may get information, it's just to, make your time go waste, So you should be very clever, what you're doing, So you have to hook to the right source. If you're always hooked to Facebook, the reels, nowadays I see everybody are like, they're just like moving their thumb, reels, watching reels. What happens when you do like this now? There's something called dopamine. What about this? dopamine, it creates, it's kind of a pleasure hormone, and because of that, you keep watching, and end of the day, the time is wasted, and it's not good for your health also, right? So it is intelligence created by scripture. So if you want to detox such kind of activities, you have to be very intelligent enough that you follow scriptures. Let us look at this slide. Okay, the three doers. That's the soul, Paramatma, and the Prakriti. Prakriti means material nature. All right. So we could see here that the desire is always influenced by Paramatma, influenced by the Supreme Lord. Paramatma means Supreme Lord. Soul means Jivatma. Okay, understand this? Soul means Jivatma. Okay, conditioned soul like us, Soul, Jivatma. Paramatma means the Lord, and material nature means Prakriti. Okay, I'll tell you how it works. If you desire something, Lord allows you to this material nature. For example, let's say you want to fly. So the Lord might give you a body of a bird where you can fly, or you say, no, I want to fly in the same body. So then you can go in a airport and get into the airplane and you can fly, right? If you want to sleep, Lord gives you a body where you can get this body of a bear which sleeps for 6 months. Or if you desire you want to sleep, then you get a facility to sleep. Like all of us will sleep in the night, right? So if someone desires to become a bear, they become a bear. That's what I tell you. As we go by next couple of chapters, Gita mentions that whatever you remember at the time of death, so that what will happen. Apis Paranvayam. Though we will discuss this, I'm just going a little fast. So whatever desire we have, material nature will provide a body that fits those desires. Thus, what I mean to say is that this is why we should have to control our senses, because it's very, very important. We need to act with the intelligence based on the scriptures, teachings of Shastras. So now, I'll make you very easy to understand by one example. So please pay attention. So we always have this question that nothing happens without the sanction of God. But why so many sins take place? You heard this, right? Bhagwan ke bina ek patta bhi nahi hil sakta. Even a grass cannot move, So then why there are so many sins take place? This question you have heard, right? So I'm going to give you a very wonderful example. Please pay attention. Then you'll have a clear idea. Okay. So I'll give you a kind of analogy. So let's say in a car, if we have a car, okay, there are three people in that. One is a driver, okay, and one is a father who is the owner of the car, and then we have a son, owner's son, okay. So, okay, I'll give you an example like this, okay. Let's say A, B, C, okay. A is a driver, okay. You can write it on the paper, okay. A is a driver, B is a owner of the, B the owner of the car, okay. And C is a son, okay. Driver, father, and son, okay. So now let's say, you see, you have to understand this, okay. Three things. In a car, we're giving three analogies. What is that? A driver, okay, who's driving the car. Then somebody sitting in the car is the owner of the car, And then we have a father, okay. And then we have his son, So three of us sitting in the car. Now, since father is the head of the driver, because he's the one who pays salary to the driver, obviously a driver listens to the instructions of his father. But son, he can only desire or tell the driver, take me there, take me here. But the driver only follows the instructions coming from the father. Why? Because he is the owner of the car. Similarly, father is here compared to a Paramatma, God, Krishna, who sanctions a son. Am I going very fast? Because if you understand this analogy, it makes a big difference. Okay. So Krishna is I'm comparing that father to Krishna, who sanctions. And your son is compared to a Jivatma, a Jivatma. And because he's desiring, he's telling the driver, take me there, take me here, take me there, take me there, And the driver is compared to a Prakriti. That's a material nature. So this material nature, what does it do? It provides facility. Now, unless and until the father sanctions, nothing will be given by the driver, even though the son demands so many things. I'll tell you, maybe this will be easy for you to understand. So we are going in a car, okay? And let's say I am the owner of the car, okay? I'm sitting in the car, and my son is also sitting in the car, okay? And I have the driver also. So we are going. While going, suddenly this my son he says, driver, stop the car, stop the car. He said, why? Hey, I want to buy ice cream. Stop the car, stop the car. Will the driver stop the car? No. Why? Until and unless when I say to stop the car, he will not stop because I am the owner of the car, right? So I will not tell anything. So no matter he says stop the car, I want to buy this, I want to buy this, stop the car, stop. The driver will never stop because the driver knows that the owner of the car is father sitting behind. Only I should follow his instructions, not the son's instructions. Now, when I say, hey, okay, stop the car, maybe he needs some ice cream, stop it. Then immediately the driver stop the car. So now I told you, driver is compared to a Prakriti, material nature, right? And father is compared to a Paramatma. And the son is compared to a Jivatma. So Jivatma may ask, I want this, but still he'll never get. Why? Unless until the God sanctions, that is where he'll get that facility. The facility is the driver who's giving it. Very clear? So I am compared to a father, Krishna. Okay. And my son is compared to a Jivatma. And the driver is compared to a Prakriti. I'll give you an example. There's a garden, okay, and a lot of rose flowers are there. So my son says, I want that flower. So he goes near the garden, and you see there's some security guards are sitting. So what is happening here? The Prakriti is giving a facility there, that there's a nice garden, but still he cannot pluck the flowers. Why? Because there are security guards. But if the guards have been allowed permission, okay, you allow him inside, let him take the flower, then he can pluck the flowers. That means unless and until the father gives a sanction, that is how that is where that the son can make use of that Prakriti. Because Prakriti is always there, it's giving you, but you can't take it. Why? Because somebody is stopping you. But if Krishna is allowing you, you can take it. Am I making sense what I'm saying? This is one part. Now you may ask, then why so many bad things are happening? Why still God doesn't stop? I told you in last class also that Lord doesn't interfere in anyone's free will. See, free will means, you have a choice to do good or bad. There's a fire. If you put your hands, it will burn. If you don't put your hands, it will not burn. So you have a choice whether you want to put or you don't put. So basically, we don't put. If you put, it will burn. So like that, Krishna is giving you that free will. Swacha icha, this free will, where you have a choice. If you do good things will happen. Now you want to spit on the sky, what will happen? It will fall on you only. So you know what is right, what is wrong. So what I mean to say here that Lord doesn't interfere with anybody's free will. So, but he wants all of us to know that we should take the responsibility, and God only wants that we should come back. We should not misuse our free will, and this is what I'm trying to convey. Because in this very life, we all should go back to the spiritual world. That's why Lord says in the last chapter, this very important verse. When we go there, we'll go in deep. That is, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharam Aham Tam Tapapyo Moksha Suchaha. So come to my shelter and I will protect you, but don't worry. That's what it says. No, if you don't surrender, then you may commit sin. So Lord is giving the facilities, to the driver, but still, unless until the Lord doesn't give sanction, we cannot pick it. So now I have a question for you. You tell me, who sanctions our desire and allows material nature to act? Okay, I'll just post this question for you, so you can just tell me. Yeah. So there's a question on the board. Please reply. Who sanctions our desire and allows material nature to act? Yeah, the Paramatma only. Yes, Paramatma. Not the senses. Not the senses. Not the body. Not the mind. I gave you an example of that ice cream boy. The boy wants ice cream. He's telling the driver, stop the car. The driver is not stopping at all. Why? Till then he gets the order from the father, the owner, he will not give. If the owner says stop the car, he will give. That is Paramatma. If Paramatma gives sanction, then the driver will tell you, okay, take it. Why? Because Paramatma has given sanction. Okay, makes sense? Okay, good. I'll end this poll. All of us share, see the results. Okay, I'm stopping now. Okay, good. So now, so here it says seeing God. See, a true wise person sees everything equally. That's what we told now. Pandita Samadarshana. That's what I was sharing. Now we are coming to the very important sloka. Okay. It says Vidya Vinay Sampanne Dhamane Gavi Astani Sunichaiva Svapaka Cha Pandita Samadarshana. A humble sage by virtue of true knowledge sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. So what does it mean? It says a Pandita means a wise person. He sees everything equally, whether it's a cow, elephant, dog, or whatever. Why? Because, like a Paramatma lives in everybody's heart, right? So wise person respects all living being because he sees in everybody's heart, Lord is staying. Not only humans, but also animals, birds, and trees. I'll give you an example. Okay, some birds live in a temple. Okay, during festival time, they see this. They're doing a painting of the temple. So all the birds they flew and they go to the mosque. And there when they have this masjid program, they want to do a painting because some festival is coming. So the birds from that mosque they flew and they come to the church. And then when there's a Christmas time, they want to paint the church. So all the birds sitting in the church, they again return back to the temple, Gopuram. So meanwhile, people are still fighting below. They're asking, that whose religion is most best, So when the birds, you see, birds, they did not fight. They're just hopping from one temple to mosque to church. They're just flying and staying. So one of the mother birds said that that's why we are above you because they're still below because they fight. What I meant to say that we try to discriminate. No, that is where we are in a trouble. So what I meant to say in this verse is that a person looking for a higher understanding doesn't get into a religious or ego fight. Makes sense? And he sees everyone as the children of God, even if they follow different religion or custom. I'll give you one last example. Maybe it's very interesting. It's about a story of a boatman. Okay. So one day, a proud scientist, got into a boat, crossed the river, and he looked at a very simple boatman. Yeah. So the boatman was rowing. There was a scientist sitting in the boat. Now he wanted to cross over the. No. So the boatman said, the scientist said to that boatman, "Do you know Vedas?" The boatman said, "Well, I don't know. I just only know how to row the boat." No, he said. Scientists start laughing. Said, "You have wasted half of your life." "Oh, really?" Then little later, this scientist he asked, "Do you know science?" Again, the boatman said, "Hmm, I don't know." He said, "No," he said. The scientist said, "Your 75% of life gone waste," he said. Suddenly, there was a storm, there was a huge torrent rains going to start coming, the clouds became very dark, the boat was almost like shaking. Soon, it's going to sink also, So now the boatman asked the question to the scientist. He said, "Do you know how to swim?" And the scientist said, "No." The boatman said, "What? You said no? Oh my God. You have wasted your whole life. 100% your life is got doomed." Now the boatman swam safely and his life was safe. Whereas the scientist, no, he was just arguing. Finally, he couldn't save himself. So what I'm trying to say from this story that true wisdom is not about boasting knowledge, right? But being humble and practical. You may know Vedas, you might be even PhD also, you may have a lot of worldly success also, but without humility, you're just like a floating on the surface of a life, waiting to sink at any moment. That's why life is very uncertain. कभी भी कुछ हो सकता है. Life can is uncertain. We don't know what happens next, right? So the real Pandit, a wise person, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Lord in everybody's heart. Mamaivam sum jiva loke jiva bhutta sanatan. Lord is sitting in everybody's heart. No, so even a learned scholar, a cow, elephant, a dog, whatever, a person sees samadarshina. Such a person respects everyone and he stays humble, knowing that whatever we have given is by the Lord. That is very important. That's what the pride. I am that, I am this, I know more than him, it's only leads to a spiritual downfall. So the moment we forget that God is the source of all our intelligence, skills, and status, we fall, we do, right? So the message of what I'm trying to convey here is that don't be proud of your knowledge or position. True wisdom means humility and respect for all. Lord lives in everybody's heart, and he sees with the equal vision. So I have a question. How does a truly wise person see others? How does a truly wise person see others? Yes, sees all living beings equally. That is correct. We just discussed about this, boatman. So we understand that we are all looking for a real peace. So we must understand that truth. There are three truths about Lord Krishna, and it is called peace formula. What it's called? Peace formula. Now, this is a very beautiful sloka actually. It says, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhutam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shanti rachate. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifice and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and the well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. So, one thing I'd like to share, happiness. Happiness or peace is what all of us are looking for, searching for. Even if you ask for a child what he wants, the source of all happiness is toys. He says, I want to play some toys. But the same child, when he or she grows up, if you ask what is the source of happiness, he'll say, I want a bicycle, and after bicycle, say, I want to have a bike. Then he says, I want to get married. Then I want to have a house. So in reality, we are all looking for happiness. But the problem is, we don't know how to find or where to find the real happiness. Because happiness is not to be found in this material world. Because Krishna has said this in the Bhagavad Gita, Dukhalem Ashashvatam. Just like if I asked you to jump in the water and come out dry, is it possible? The moment you jump, you get wet. So that's not possible. So the question troubles us. How can we be happy? So here, Lord Krishna gives us a solution by which we all can be happy. He says, Bhoktaram Ignatapasam. Just when you know these three facts, we can be very happy and peaceful. So the three facts are, that Lord is a enjoyer, Lord is a proprietor, and Lord is a true well-wisher, a friend. Now, if you know this concept, it will become very easy to be happy. Now, I will not repeat. I'll ask this question, and then I'll go further in the next slide. Bhoktaram Ignatapasam. Lord is a real enjoyer, because whenever whatever yajnas, offerings, or spiritual work we do it as an offering to Krishna. We should not think that I am the doer and I will enjoy the result. When we give it to him, then our stress reduces. Like we all know, Krishna had 16,108 wives. So imagine, it's a big number. So let us at least, people who have just married have one wife, if they say, let me imitate Krishna, let me have at least two wives. Are Baba, first try to manage one wife. It's so difficult to maintain. How will you want to manage more than one wife? Krishna can do that because he's a supreme Lord, right? Krishna lifted Govardhan for 7 days, 7 nights. If I ask you to lift one phone for 1 hour, you say, oh, my hand is paining, right? So, what does it mean? That means we are limited. If you go to Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath, he eats chappan bhog. That means 56 items they offer to eat him. 4 times in a day, he takes it. But if we try to imitate like Jagannath, either our stomach will break or we die. We cannot imitate, That's why the real enjoyer is Krishna, not we. We can only become a servant. Then Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the controller of everything. So Krishna controls all the devatas, and also the universe. Everything is in him. That's why when we go to chapter 11, we can tell you the Vishwarupa, the universal form, how it proves us that yes, Krishna is the Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Then finally, we have Suhtam Sarva Bhutanam. He is our eternal well-wisher. I mean to say that the relationship, in this world, like father, mother, wife, children, they're all temporary. Why? Because today we are there, one day we have to die. Because everybody have a expiry date, But in every birth, we have different parents, even animals and trees. But Krishna is always with us in every life, and he never leaves us. That's why he is our only true friend. Shrutam Sarvabhutana. I'll give an example, you may think your parents, children will always help you to protect, but that's not always possible. Only Krishna is always present when in joy, sorrow, birth, death, in every situation. Then why people may not understand this immediately? Because this verse, what I'm explaining you, is just an introduction. Because we can fully understand how Krishna is an enjoyer, is a controller, he is a friend. We all can understand this very clearly once we enter into chapter 7 to 12. That is a Bhakti Yoga. The first 6 chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called Karma Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga, and then Jnana Yoga. So once we enter into Bhakti Yoga, things becomes very easy to understand. So in those chapters, Krishna directly reveals his divine nature, energy, and relation with all beings. So without this foundation, it is hard to convince someone immediately. So they just need patience. So please, I ask you, have patience and regularly you keep hearing and regularly keep attending the class. So it will be easy for you. So I'll make a quick review what we discussed so that we can have some question answers. So we could see Krishna's answering that doing your duties with devotion, karma yoga, is better than renouncing the world. So he explains that devotional service, helps us give up bad habits and selfish desire, right? So while just giving up things without devotion is very difficult. Like I told you, Janmashtami, if it is not Janmashtami, I'll tell you just fast today. You will fast. No, you will not fast. The whole world is celebrating, they're doing Janmashtami. You feel, oh, really? I'll also will fast. See, it makes it easier. Then we give the example of Gulab Jamun, right? And that's why Krishna says, don't just give up things. Connect everything to me. Then letting go becomes joyful, not painful. Then we spoke about like a lotus leaf, right? Staying untouched by the world while doing work. The Krishna explains that we should perform our duties without attachment to the result, just like a lotus leaf in the water, but not touched it. So, person working for Krishna without selfish desire is not affected by sinful actions. Then we spoke about a very important game changer, the senses. The senses are higher than the dead matter. And above senses, we have mind. Mind is higher than the senses. Then we have intelligence, which is higher than the mind. And we have soul, which is higher than the intelligence. Then we spoke about the three doers, understanding who is really doing the action. So I spoke about the Jivatma, the boy who wants ice cream. Then I spoke about the Paramatma, the father, that is the owner of the car. Then I spoke about the Prakriti, the driver, the material nature. Correct? So a true wise person sees everyone equally. That's why you say Pandita Samadarshina. Then finally we spoke about the peace formula that Lord Krishna gives us a solution where we all can be happy. He says, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. That means just know the three facts, you will become very happy, very peaceful. What is that? Lord is the enjoyer, Lord is a proprietor, and Lord is a well-wisher. So in this state of mind, we can be very happy. If you understand this, it's very easy to happy. So tomorrow we will be discussing about sixth chapter titled Jnana Yoga, because we all know that meditation is very, very popular word, in this days, not just Eastern, but also in the Western world. In the Western world, there are so many yoga studios, because I myself, when I was traveling, I could see there are so many yoga studios, meditational centers. Meditation is seen as a de-stressing agent to, what do you say, de-stressing mind. I'm going to say detoxifying your consciousness. So being as a monk, I do that meditation, So the process of that meditation is called mantra meditation. Mantra means mind, and tra means that which can freezes or delivers the mind. That is what we're going to go ahead tomorrow. So silence the mind, awaken the soul. So discover the secret of true meditation in chapter 6. So the call of action is that join us tomorrow. Step into this most peaceful chapter of Gita, where Krishna teaches how to meditate, live mindfully, and rise above stress.